You wake up tired. You carry a low-grade tension into every room, and no matter how much you try, nothing seems to stick. Your vibration is always your choice. Everyone in this space tells you the same thing. Raise your vibration. Think high thoughts. Meditate. Be grateful. Visualize what you want. Practice presence. Set your intentions. And you have tried all of it. You did not try it once and give up. You tried it with real sincerity. On mornings when the effort cost you something. In quiet moments when you genuinely wanted to believe it would work. You did the breathing, the journaling, the affirmations that felt slightly embarrassing at first, and then began to feel like yours. The gratitude lists, the vision boards, the meditations you came back to, even after weeks of missing them. Something inside you genuinely wanted it to work. And yet, something heavy remains. A low, persistent hum underneath everything that does not shift, no matter what you do. You get a good week, a stretch of days where the field opens and things flow, and you think, this is it. This is finally landing. And then something ordinary happens. An email with bad news, a conversation that goes wrong, a night of poor sleep, a moment of comparison that arrives uninvited. And within hours, you are back in the same frequency you were trying to leave. Not because you are weak, not because the practices are fake, because something is missing, and until now, no one told you what it was. The advice is not wrong. It is incomplete. There is a sequence to genuinely shifting your vibrational frequency. Not a trick, not a shortcut. A sequence with a specific order and a specific reason for that order. The spiritual world teaches step 1 beautifully. It has always taught step 1, presence, gratitude, intention. And step 1 is real, and it matters. And the people who taught it to you were sincere. But almost no one teaches you step 2. Step 2 is what anchors the shift into your body, into your nervous system, into your actual lived experience, not your mind, your body. And that distinction is everything, because a shift that lands only in the mind evaporates the moment the nervous system returns to its default state, which it always does. That is not failure. That is how a body works, without step 2. Without step 2, step 1 is beautiful and completely temporary. If you have ever done everything right and still woken up feeling exactly the same, that is not a flaw in you. That is a missing piece. Today I am going to give it to you, and you will feel the difference before this ends. Write this in the comments right now, not to please an algorithm, but to anchor this in yourself. My vibration is not fixed. Say it like you mean it. Because after today, you will know exactly why that is true, in your body, not just your mind. Your vibration is always your choice. Now let us go deeper into what is actually happening. Before I show you what you have been missing, let me ask you something honestly. How many times have you reset? Not once or twice. I mean the deeper pattern. How many mornings have you opened your eyes, felt the weight return before you even remembered why it was there, pressed it down, and tried again? You made it into a practice. You showed up anyway. You did not give up. And somewhere inside all of that persistence, there has always been this quiet, exhausting question. Why is this not holding? You did the work. The breathing was real. The gratitude was sincere. The meditation was not performance. It was practice. Sometimes the most honest thing you did all day. You showed up, and I want you to hear this clearly before we go any further. That is not where the problem lives. There was a time in my own life when I understood all of this conceptually and still could not hold the shift. I could explain the law of vibration. I could describe the field, the resonance, the way one frequency affects another. I had read the material, internalized the principles, taught them to others in my own way. I could sit in stillness for an hour and feel genuinely different at the end of it. And then I would walk out of one difficult conversation, one unexpected piece of news, one morning that simply did not go the way I had prepared for, and my entire field would collapse back to the baseline I had been trying to leave. Not gradually, suddenly. As if the hour of stillness had never happened at all. I knew the theory of vibration better than I could explain with words, and none of it held in my body when the moment came. That is not a spiritual failure. That is what happens when you are only equipped with step 1. I want you to understand something about who this video is for, because I have watched this misunderstood too many times. This is not for people born spiritually gifted, whatever that means. People for whom equanimity arrives naturally, who find it easy to stay high and light and open. Those people exist, and I have nothing to offer them that they do not already have. But they are not you, and they are probably not watching this. This is for the person whose field is tired. The one who has been trying, genuinely, for longer than anyone around them probably knows, because that effort has mostly been private, has mostly been the thing that happens before the day officially begins, in a journal, in a breath, in a few minutes of silence before the noise arrives. The one who has reset so many times that the reset itself has become its own kind of exhaustion. This is for you. You might think the answer is meditating more, a longer practice, a deeper retreat, a better teacher, a different method. You have probably already tried variations of all of those, and each one helped for a while, and then the field returned to where it was, as if a rubber band had been stretched and released. It is not. The answer is not more of step 1. The answer is step 2. Once you understand what it is, and why it works at the level of the nervous system, not just the mind, you will see exactly where you have been stopping, and you will understand why stopping there, every single time, guaranteed the cycle would continue. Because step 1 alone creates a shift that is real. It is not imaginary. The field changes, the frequency rises, and then the body, which has not been retrained, brings it back, not out of malice, out of pattern, out of what it has learned to call home. You might also think that your inability to hold the shift says something about you specifically. Have you ever had the quiet thought that maybe some people have access to this level of frequency work and others simply do not? That the ones who seem to live it effortlessly were given something you were not? I want to name that thought directly, because it is one of the most common reasons people stay stuck. The belief that what they are trying to access is reserved for a category they do not belong to. It is not. The Triad, I am going to show you today, works through your nervous system. Not through your spiritual development, not through your talent for meditation, not through how enlightened you already are. It works through physiology, which means it is available to you right now, in this body, exactly as it is. The only thing between you and it is the one step you did not know was missing. If you are in that place right now, if this is landing somewhere honest in you, subscribe to this channel, not as a transaction, because what follows from here is going to require you to stay, and committing now costs you nothing except a moment of intention. Your vibration is always your choice. But to make that choice consciously, to shift your frequency, and have it land where it can hold, you need to understand the physics of why vibration works the way it does. Not as metaphor, as mechanism. Picture two crystal glasses on a table. They are identical. Same size, same material, same shape. The kind you might find in any house. Nothing unusual about them. You tap the rim of the first one with the tip of your finger, just enough to make it ring, and the second glass, which you have not touched, which is sitting quietly on the other side of the table, begins to vibrate. You did not touch it. There is no wire between them. There is no mechanism you can see. And yet, it moves. This is not a metaphor. This is a physics demonstration. It is called sympathetic resonance, and it is one of the foundational principles of acoustics. When two objects share a natural frequency, one enters the field of the other, and they begin to move together. The second glass did not choose to vibrate. It did not decide anything. It simply could not remain still in the presence of a matching frequency. Take that for a moment. Because before this idea becomes abstract, I want you to notice that you have lived this experiment, not with glasses, with rooms. Think about the last time you walked into a space where something had just happened, not something dramatic, maybe an argument that had ended minutes before you arrived. Maybe a conversation between two people who were smiling at each other, but whose bodies were still holding the residue of something else entirely. Nothing was said to you, nobody explained anything, and yet you felt it the moment you crossed the threshold. A weight that was not yours when you walked in, now sitting quietly in your chest. A shift in your own mood that you could not explain and that nobody would have believed if you had tried to describe it. That is not sensitivity. That is not imagination. That is your field responding to a field, the way the second glass responds to the first. Think now about the last conversation that left you drained. Not a fight, nothing that would make sense on paper as a cause of exhaustion. Maybe 5 minutes with someone who was anxious, quietly resentful, or simply running on a frequency of low-grade fear. They did not raise their voice. They did not say anything cruel, and you walked away from that 5 minutes, carrying something heavy in your body for the next 3 hours, carrying what they were carrying, without ever being told you were allowed to set it down. That glass vibrated because the other one did. The Kybalion, one of the oldest surviving collections of hermetic principle, compiled in 1908 by a group known as the Three Initiates, who synthesized ancient Egyptian and Greek philosophical traditions, makes this statement with absolute precision. Nothing rests. Everything moves. Everything vibrates. It frames this not as a spiritual belief, but as the second great principle of the universe, the principle from which all phenomena of movement and apparent rest emerge, including rest itself, which is described not as the absence of vibration, but as a rate of vibration too slow for ordinary perception to register. Let that land for a moment. What is remarkable is that classical physics arrived at the same conclusion by an entirely different route, through wave mechanics, through the study of resonance and coherence, through observation of how fields interact at the subatomic level. Two traditions, separated by centuries and by entirely different methods of inquiry. The same principle, the law of vibration, and what this law says, in both its ancient and its scientific forms, is not a poetic invitation to think positive thoughts. It is a structural description of how reality actually operates. Nothing in the physical universe is standing still. Everything is in motion, and things that share a frequency range begin to influence one another, without contact, without agreement, and often without the conscious awareness of either party. And this is why this matters for you specifically, not in the abstract, but in the actual shape of your daily life. Your field is not a private, sealed container. You did not arrive into a body that can be hermetically protected from the frequencies around it. The field you inhabit is in constant, real-time conversation with every field around it. Every room you enter, every person you spend extended time with, every environment that surrounds you for more than a few minutes, every state you inhabit repeatedly, over days and weeks, becomes what physicists would call a standing wave, a frequency that has stabilized. And standing waves attract matching frequencies. It is not a preference, it is a physical property. Stay with that. This is important enough to say again from a different angle. You have known people whose presence alone made you feel more capable, more clear, more settled. You did not analyze why in the moment. You did not need to. Their field was coherent, and your field recognized it and moved toward it. You have also known people whose presence alone made you second-guess things you were certain of moments before, made you feel smaller without anything specific being said, made the room heavier the moment they entered it. Neither of those people did anything dramatic. They did not need to. The field does the work. The glass vibrates because the other one is vibrating. And this is the question that changes everything. What is the frequency that your field has been stabilized at? Through accumulated pattern, through repeated incomplete practice, through years of step 1 without step 2. Because whatever that frequency is, that is the frequency your life is resonating with. That is the frequency your relationships, your opportunities, your body, and your results have been organizing themselves around. Not because they were designed to punish you, because that is how resonance works. Matching, not judgment. There is a reason your frequency keeps finding the same ceiling, the same patterns, the same results, the same quality of experience, regardless of what you try. That reason connects directly to a map, a precise framework developed by a researcher who spent decades categorizing emotional states by their frequency signature. Inside that map is a single number, and that number changes everything about how you understand, both where you are and where you are going. If this is landing for you, if you can feel the shape of what I am describing, leave a like right now. Not for the algorithm, as an anchor for what you just understood about your own field. Your vibration is always your choice. A researcher named David Hawkins spent decades mapping the full range of human emotional states onto a scale of consciousness. Inside that map is a single number, and that number is the clearest dividing line between states that drain the field and states that expand it, between a frequency your life will keep returning you to and a frequency from which you can begin to build something different. That number is what we are going to look at now. In his book Power versus Force, published in 1995, David Hawkins proposed something unusual: a map. Not a map of geography, a map of human consciousness, of the emotional and energetic states that human beings inhabit, and the frequencies at which Hawkins proposed those states register in the body, in behavior, in our relationship with everything around us. It is important to say, before we go further, that Hawkins' framework is precisely that: a framework, a map. Not a peer-reviewed scientific dataset with consensus endorsement. Hawkins was a researcher and psychiatrist who spent decades in clinical practice before developing this model, and the model has been both influential and controversial. What I am offering you is not an argument that every number on his scale is literal or provable. What I am offering you is the shape of the idea, because the shape holds something true that the controversy around the details sometimes obscures. At the bottom of the scale, shame, the state Hawkins described as the one with the most devastating impact on the body and the field. Then guilt, a step above it, but still below the threshold where life begins to feel generative. Then apathy, a state that looks like peace from the outside, but is experienced internally as a complete absence of energy or motivation. Grief, fear, desire, anger, pride. Each of these states has a signature. Not just a feeling, but a posture, a way the body holds itself when it is in that state. A physiology, a way of filtering what is possible and what is not. A way of reading incoming information that is already shaped by the state the reader is in. In Hawkins' framework, these lower states are described as states that drain. Not moral failures, not evidence of a character flaw, not punishment for doing something wrong. Energetically, they consume more than they generate. The field is pulling inward, contracting, spending its resources on defense rather than creation. Then, at the number 200, something fundamental shifts. Everything changes at 200. 200 is the threshold Hawkins called courage, and what changes at courage is not just a feeling, it is a direction. Below 200, the field is self-referential. It is organized around the question, how do I survive this? Above 200, the field begins to open. Courage, neutrality, willingness, acceptance, reason, love, joy, peace. Each of these is described as a state that generates more than it consumes. The field expands. You are no longer primarily absorbing whatever frequency arrives near you. You begin to have your own tone, your own signal, your own gravitational pull. And this is the piece I need you to sit with honestly, not as a theoretical exercise, but as a direct account of your own experience. Think about where you have actually been living recently, not where you aspire to be, not where you are in the moments when you feel clear and open, the moments you show people or report, in the spaces where you present yourself at your best. Where have you actually been waking up? In your energy, before the first conversation of the day, before any coffee, before any stimulus, when the body first registers itself against the morning. In your relationships, not the version you perform at dinner with friends, but what they feel like in the ordinary private moments when no one is performing. In your sense of what is possible when you are alone and quiet, the last honest conversation you have with yourself before sleep. Are you above 200? Or have you been hovering somewhere in the lower half? Maybe not at the bottom, maybe not in shame or apathy, but in a kind of persistent, low-grade fear or anger or desire that never quite resolves into something generative. Not a judgment, a compass reading. And a compass is only useful if you are willing to look at where it is actually pointing. Take a breath before we continue. I want to tell you something I do not say lightly. I have sat with people who understand every framework I just described. People who could explain the Hawkins scale in detail, who knew exactly which number they were hovering around, who had read the books and attended the retreats and built the practices. And they were still stuck, not because they lacked understanding, but because understanding a frequency and inhabiting a frequency are two completely different experiences. The map is not the territory. Knowing where you are on the map does not move you. What moves you is what we are going to do together in a few minutes. But first, you need to know where you actually are, not where you hope you are. Not the version you present, where the body actually lives when no one is watching and nothing is performing. Before we go further, I want you to be honest, not with me, with yourself. Are you satisfied with where your field is actually living right now? Not as a spiritual ambition, but as a lived daily reality, with what you earn, with how your days feel on an ordinary Tuesday, not a vacation day, not a day you planned in advance, an ordinary Tuesday in the middle of the week when life shows you its unfiltered self, with the relationships that stayed, with where you sense your energy goes each morning before you have even consciously chosen anything, with the gap between the version of your life you imagine when the mind is generous and the version that shows up when the morning is ordinary. If something in that question creates a quiet discomfort, not despair, not panic, just an uneasiness that this is not quite where you were supposed to arrive, I want you to name it. Write in the comments, where is my field today? One honest line, not for the algorithm. For you, because naming it is the first act of change, and something about putting words to a frequency begins to shift it. Not because the words are magic, because articulation is the first moment you stand slightly outside the pattern and see it from a position other than fully inside it. Your vibration is always your choice. Now let me explain exactly why we keep returning to the lower half, because this is the piece that makes the difference between understanding the problem and actually solving it. You can breathe your way to courage in 5 minutes. I know this because I have done it myself, and I have watched hundreds of people do it. The nervous system settles, the breath slows, the field opens, the body shifts into something that registers differently than what it was in before, and it is real. The shift is not imaginary. The frequency genuinely rises. And then something triggers. An email arrives with unexpected news, a tone of voice in a conversation that reminds the body of something older than the conversation itself, an unexpected bill, a comment from someone who does not know they are doing it, but whose words land with precisely the weight of an older wound. And within the hour, you are back below 200, confused because you did everything right, tired because you have been here before, and carrying a quiet suspicion that this is simply how it is for you, that the people who hold higher frequencies must have something you were not given, not weakness. The body doing what it was trained to do. The shift was real, but it was not anchored. It landed in the mind and dissolved before it could reach the nervous system, because step 1 alone works in stillness. In the controlled conditions of the meditation, the journaling session, the quiet morning before the day has asked anything of you. Step 2 is what makes it work when something moves, when the day becomes real, when the ordinary complexity of being alive comes back with all of its requests. I want to address something directly, because I hear it, even though you may not have said it out loud yet. You might be thinking, this sounds like the law of attraction all over again, and you are right to have that thought, because the spiritual space has made large promises around ideas like this for a long time, and many of those promises were not paid. You may have heard something similar to what I am describing, invested something real in it, and watched it not work the way you were told it would. The disappointment from that is legitimate. It deserves to be named rather than bypassed. You are right to notice that. The spiritual space has overpromised on this. It has sometimes taken a genuine principle and wrapped it in a commercial presentation that substituted enthusiasm for mechanism, and feeling good about the idea for actually understanding how it works in the body. What is different here is not a claim about the universe meeting your desires. What is different is the mechanism. The body has a state. That state can be documented. The nervous system has conditions of coherence and incoherence, and those conditions are measurable in a way that desire alone is not. We are talking about a specific physiological sequence, not a mindset, not a belief system, not a positive attitude. A sequence that works through your nervous system, whether you believe in it or not. The way breathing works, whether you believe in the lungs or not. You may have done this for years. You may have done it for decades. Sincerely, consistently, with real effort and real longing. And if step 2 was never in the sequence, the shift could not have held. It is not a character indictment. It is a missing variable. You are about to close that gap. The sequence has 3 steps. I call it the Triad, and I am going to walk you through all 3, together, right now. The Triad has 3 steps. Let me explain each one before we practice together, because if you understand why each step works, the practice becomes something you can return to on your own, in any moment, in any situation. Not a ritual that depends on conditions, a tool you carry in your body. Step 1 is presence. Not mindfulness as an idea you visit from time to time. Not the concept of being present that you understand and occasionally remember. Presence as a physical act, as a deliberate and specific return of your nervous system from the only 2 places it tends to live when it is not deliberately brought home, the past and the future. Fear lives in the future. It is always projecting forward, running calculations on outcomes that have not happened, building threat assessments for situations that may never arrive. Guilt lives in the past. It is always pulling backward, returning to moments that have already closed, to conversations that are over, to decisions that cannot be undone by thinking about them any harder. Anxiety is fear, running calculations about future versions of past events. It is not a character flaw. It is a nervous system that has never been trained to remain in the present. In the present moment, in the body, in this breath, only peace is available as a baseline. Not because the world is perfect in this moment, but because peace is the natural state of a nervous system that is not projecting. A nervous system that is here, that contact between the body and the present moment, is the floor on which everything else we are going to do stands. Without it, the next 2 steps cannot land. They will stay in the mind, which is a beautiful place, but not the place where frequency shifts happen. Presence is the precondition. Step 2 is gratitude as frequency, not as thought. This is the step almost no one finishes, and it is the step that makes the shift permanent rather than beautiful and temporary. It is the step that moves the shift from the mind into the body. And the reason it is almost never completed is that most people, when they hear gratitude, hear an instruction to think something, to list things they appreciate, to remember to be thankful. And all of that is valuable, and none of it is step 2. Most of us practice gratitude as a cognitive act. We list things, we write them down, we remember to say thank you, we count our blessings and we mean it sincerely. That is useful. I am not dismissing it. But listing does not shift your frequency on its own, because frequency shift requires the body. Specifically, it requires the heart. Research at the HeartMath Institute has documented something specific about the heart that most people are never told. The heart generates the largest rhythmic electromagnetic field of any organ in the body. Not the brain, the heart. The field it generates extends several feet beyond the boundaries of the physical body and is measurable with standard medical equipment. When you place your hands over your heart and allow genuine appreciation, not performed gratitude, not a list recited at the mind level, but the actual felt sense of something real that you are genuinely grateful for, that field changes. The rhythm of the heart changes. The nervous system responds to the change in the heart's pattern. The body shifts into what researchers call coherence, a state of internal synchrony between the heart, the brain, and the nervous system. Measurable physiology, not metaphor. Remember the crystal glasses? One resonates and the other responds, without contact, without wire, because they share a frequency. When you bring the heart into coherent appreciation, your field begins to emit a different signal, and fields that emit different signals begin to attract different resonances. That is not mysticism. That is the law of vibration operating inside your own body, at the level of the organ that generates the strongest field you have. Step 2 is gratitude felt in the body, hands on the heart. A real memory, specific enough to create a genuine sensation in the chest, not the thought of warmth. The warmth. Not the idea of gratitude, the state of it, held there long enough to move from a momentary feeling into an actual shift in the body's electromagnetic field. Step 3 is conscious choice, declaring in your body, not just in your mind, the state you are choosing to inhabit. Not hoping for it, not visualizing it from the outside, declaring it from inside the state of gratitude you have just entered. 3 statements, short and direct, felt and meant rather than recited. The person who moves through these 3 steps in sequence is not the same person who entered them. That is not a motivational claim. That is a description of what happens to the nervous system when presence creates the floor, gratitude creates the shift in the heart's field, and conscious choice anchors that shift into an intention the body can hold. Not inspiration. Sequence. Before we begin, say this out loud. Not as performance, not as an affirmation you do not yet believe, but as commitment, as the instruction you are giving your body before the body follows. I choose to rise. That is your second declaration. The body will follow what the mind commits to in the presence of an open heart, but it needs to hear the choice. It needs to be told. One more thing before we practice, and I want to address it directly because I know it is there. If you are thinking, I cannot control my vibration when something bad happens, you are absolutely right. You do not control the trigger. You do not control what arrives. You do not control the wave that comes from outside. The phone call with bad news. The morning that starts wrong before you have said a word. The moment of fear you thought you had resolved walks back through the door, disguised as something ordinary. You do not control those. What the Triad trains is what you do in the 60 seconds after. Not the storm itself, the response to the storm. Because in those 60 seconds, one of 2 things happens. Your old pattern reasserts itself, and you return to the baseline frequency you have been carrying, or a new pattern begins. That is everything. That is the entire game. And now you have a sequence for those 60 seconds. Now close your eyes, or soften your gaze if that is more comfortable. If you are driving or doing something that requires your full attention, stay with the audio and return to this practice when you are still. This is important enough to come back to. We begin. Step 1. Presence. Place both feet flat on the ground. Feel the contact. Not as a concept, as a physical sensation. The specific weight of your body pressing into the surface beneath you. The actual texture of whatever your feet are resting on. The temperature at the point of contact. Let your attention travel to that meeting point between your body and the earth. That contact is not metaphor. It is the present moment made physical. Take a breath, not a forced breath. Let the breath come to you. Breathe with me now. Inhale slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. Release gently. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let the exhale run longer than the inhale. The body reads a longer exhale as safety. It is a signal the nervous system understands before the mind has a chance to offer its opinion. Again, inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. Release. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One more time. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. Release. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Notice your shoulders. Let them drop if they rose. Notice your jaw. Let it unclench if it was holding. Notice your chest. Let it soften slightly, as if it no longer needs to brace for what comes next. Fear lives in the future. Guilt lives in the past. In this breath, there is only now. You are here. You are present. The nervous system is beginning to settle. The floor is in place. This is where we do the work. Step 2. Gratitude as frequency. Place your hands over your heart. Not as a gesture, as a physical anchor, the way you would hold something real and warm. Feel the weight of your own hands, the warmth of the contact, the rhythm of what is beating beneath them. Now bring to mind one specific memory, not a gratitude list, not the concept of things you appreciate. One real moment, something that happened, in an actual place, with an actual quality of light and temperature and feeling. A face that made you feel genuinely safe. A sound that meant you had arrived somewhere home. A single afternoon where something felt the way you had always hoped things would feel. A moment when something unexpected was good. Let the memory be specific enough to create something in your chest. Not a thought about a feeling, the feeling itself. Let it begin to rise. Hold that. Do not analyze it. Do not decide whether you are feeling it correctly. Just hold it. Now let it expand. Past your skin. Past the boundary of what you normally understand as your body. Do not force that expansion. Allow it. The way warmth spreads from a source, rather than being pushed. Some of you will feel warmth in the chest right now. Some will feel a quieting, a kind of settling that is different from the noise of the last hour. Some will feel nothing obvious, and if that is you, that is completely allowed. You are not doing this wrong. The body is listening, even when the mind is uncertain. You are practicing a frequency, not manufacturing an experience for someone to grade. Research at the HeartMath Institute has documented that this specific practice, hands on the heart, genuine appreciation, held as a felt sense in the body, creates measurable coherence in the heart's electromagnetic field. That field is real. Your signal is genuinely changing right now, whether or not you can feel it changing. The instrument is working. Stay here. Keep the hands on the heart. Let whatever is there be there. If thoughts arrive, let them pass like weather. Return to the feeling, the memory, the warmth. Return again. Step 3. Conscious choice. Keep your hands where they are. Say each of these slowly. Mean them. I choose to vibrate in love. I choose to vibrate in peace. I am light. I am expansion. I am the one who shifts the field. Let those words move through you, not just out of you. Let them come from the part of you that is already in the state you are declaring, not the part that is hoping to arrive there eventually. You are already there. The breath brought you to presence. The gratitude shifted the field. The choice anchors what the field has already become. Breathe. Let the words settle. Slowly, gently, open your eyes. Take one breath and let yourself land back into the room. Notice how you feel, not how you think you should feel, not how you feel compared to a standard you read somewhere. How you actually feel, in this body, right now. There may be lightness in the chest. There may be a quality of stillness in the mind that was not there 20 minutes ago. There may be something quieter underneath the surface than what was there when this began, and there may be something you cannot quite name, something that registers as difference rather than anything more specific. Whatever is there, that shift is not imagination. That is resonance in your own field. Remember the crystal glasses. You tap one, the other vibrates without being touched. You just tuned yourself, not by forcing anything, by providing the conditions under which your own field could change. You are the glass that decides which frequency to hold, and for the last several minutes, you held it. Your vibration is always your choice. That is step 2. That is what has been missing. Not the intention, not the practice in isolation, but the sequence that moves the shift from the mind into the body, and from the body into the field. Now you know what step 2 is. Not as an idea, in your body. You just felt the difference between knowing about the triad and doing the triad, and that difference is not small. It is the entire gap between the version of you who kept resetting and the version of you who finally has the complete sequence. I want you to understand, with real clarity, why step 1 alone was always going to return you to the same place. It is not that the practices were wrong. Meditation is real. Gratitude is real. Intention is real. These things work, but they work in the mind, and the mind is not where frequency is stored. The body is where frequency is stored. The nervous system is where frequency lives. And step 1 alone does not reach the nervous system. It reaches the mind, beautifully, and then life reaches the nervous system first, and the nervous system wins, because it is older and faster, and it has been trained longer. Step 2 reaches the nervous system directly, through the heart's electromagnetic field, through the body's own mechanism for coherence, through the place where the shift has to land in order to hold. You cannot outsource your vibration. That is the most empowering thing I know how to offer you. Not because it means you are alone in this, but because it means that no circumstance, no person, no unexpected event, no morning that goes wrong before you chose it, is the permanent author of your frequency. You are. You have always been. You simply did not have the complete sequence until now. The trigger does not determine your state. Your 60 seconds after the trigger do. And now you have a sequence for those 60 seconds. Not a perfect one. Not one that will work flawlessly every time you are under enough pressure. But a real one. One that gets stronger the more you use it. One that trains the nervous system the way resistance trains a muscle, by being applied repeatedly, until the new pattern becomes what the body reaches for, instead of the old one. Say this one more time, not as a closing ritual. Say it because you earned it today, because you stayed, because you did the work when it would have been very easy not to, because you just retrained your field, even slightly. And slightly is where everything begins. I am the one who shifts the field. Your vibration is always your choice. There is a 4th step. I did not teach it today, because without these 3, it is not yet available to you. Stay close. If this practice moved something in you today, if the shift was real even in a small way, write in the comments, I shifted today. Not for the algorithm, as a record that you showed up for yourself, that you named it, that you claimed it, that you felt it in your body, and you are not going to pretend you did not. Share this with 5 people whose field you want to rise alongside yours. Not because a share changes anything spiritually, because fields respond to fields, because the glass vibrates when the other one does, because the people closest to you carry frequencies too, and what you just understood about your own field may be exactly what someone in your life needs to understand about theirs. If this is the depth of conversation you want to continue, subscribe, not to collect content, because this is what we do here, not inspiration for the moment that dissolves when the moment ends. Sequences, practices you can use in the 60 seconds after a trigger. Work that reaches the nervous system, not just the mind. Work that holds when the day becomes ordinary and difficult again. Notice deeply, choose consciously, become coherent. Walk gently. The sage walks with you.